It was a dark and lonely night. The streets were silent. Only the soft sound of wind moving through the trees could be heard. The moonlight was weak, hiding behind thick clouds, and the world felt heavy with silence. The kind of silence Joe insan, kadil ko uneasy bana deta hai. Inside a small room, the narrator sat quietly, reading an old book. The clock ticked slowly on the wall. Everything felt normal, until something happened. Suddenly, a sound, soft at first, but filled with pain, broke the silence. "My baby won't wake up. Please help her, human." The voice was not like a human voice. It was desperate, trembling, and strange. It felt like the cry came from far away, yet at the same time it was right there inside the room. The narrator froze. His hands became cold, and the book slipped from his fingers. He looked around the room. Nothing was there. The door was closed, the windows were locked, and yet the voice was real. It was not imagination. His heart started to beat faster. Who could it be? "Kaun tha jo usse madad mang raha tha?" The voice came again, louder this time, filled with fear. "My baby won't wake up. Please, human, you must help her." The narrator stood up slowly, his eyes searching every corner of the room. Shadows danced on the wall, moving with the faint flicker of the lamp. There was no one there. Still, the voice was clear. It was the cry of a mother, but not a mother from this world. He whispered to himself, "This cannot be real. Maybe I am dreaming." But the chill in the air told him otherwise. It was real. The room suddenly felt colder, as if an unseen presence had entered. The narrator's breath turned shaky. He could almost feel eyes watching him, though no one was visible. The sound returned, softer now, but full of sorrow. "She is not moving. She is not breathing. My baby, my only child. Human, why don't you answer me?" His legs felt weak. He wanted to run, to escape this terrifying moment, but something inside stopped him. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. Who was this? Why was the voice calling him? Why use the word human? As if the voice itself was not human, he whispered into the darkness, his own voice trembling. "Who are you? Where are you speaking from?" The answer came quickly, almost like a scream of pain. "I am a mother. I am not from your world. My baby is dying. Please help." The narrator's mind spun. Not from this world? Was this an alien voice? He had read stories. He had watched movies. But never had he believed something like this could happen in real life. His body trembled as he stepped closer to the center of the room. The voice echoed again, so strong it felt like the walls themselves were shaking. "Only you can help her, human, please." And then for the first time he felt it. A presence. Jaise koi hawa se bani hui ruh uske paas khadi ho. Invisible, but undeniable. He could feel a strange energy brushing against his skin, cold and electric. His eyes darted to the corner of the room. For a brief second he saw something, like a faint glow, soft and silver, almost like light trapped inside a mist. He blinked and it was gone. But he knew he hadn't imagined it. The silence grew heavier. Every sound, the ticking clock, the wind outside, faded away. Only the voice remained, echoing in his head. "Do not be afraid. I do not want to harm you. I only need your help. My baby won't wake up." The narrator's heart pounded louder. He wanted to speak, to ask what he could do, but fear gripped his throat. Yet somewhere inside he felt a strange pull, an unexplainable connection. This was not random. The voice had chosen him for a reason. He stepped back slowly, his eyes wide, his breath quick. Every corner of the room looked darker than before. The walls seemed closer, the shadows longer, and the air heavier. Again, the desperate cry filled the space. "Human, my baby is slipping away. Please, before it's too late." The narrator felt his knees weaken, but he knew this was only the beginning. Something unimaginable had entered his world, and there was no turning back. The night had already turned strange, but what happened next was beyond anything the narrator had ever imagined. His heart still raced from the desperate cry that echoed in his mind. The words repeated again and again. My baby won't wake up. Help her, human. He stood in the middle of the room, staring into the shadows. For a long moment, nothing moved. The silence returned, but it wasn't normal silence anymore. It felt heavy. Jaise hawa khud use daba rahiho. His skin tingled with cold, and his instincts screamed that he was not alone. Then it happened. From the corner of the room, a faint shimmer appeared. At first, it looked like a trick of light, maybe his tired eyes playing games, but no. The shimmer grew stronger, forming the outline of a figure. It wasn't solid, not like a human body, but more like smoke glowing with silver-blue light. He froze. His chest tightened, and for a second he forgot how to breathe. He whispered, "What? What are you?" The figure didn't move closer. Instead, the same voice he had heard before filled the air, softer now, but still trembling with pain. "Do not fear me. I am a mother. My child needs you." The narrator's hands shook. He had read about ghosts, about spirits, about aliens in stories, but this presence was none of those, and yet all of them at once. It was not terrifying in the way of monsters, but in the way of the unknown. Slowly, the glowing shape shifted, and he could make out what looked like arms, long and thin, reaching toward something invisible. Then, with a wave of cold air, a small cradle appeared near the glow. The cradle was unlike anything human hands could build. It floated slightly above the ground, glowing faintly, as if made of crystal and mist woven together. Inside lay a tiny figure. The narrator's eyes widened. It looked like a baby, small, fragile, but its skin shone faintly, as if a soft light lived inside. Its chest did not rise. Its body did not move. The stillness was unbearable. The mother's voice cracked with sorrow. "She is slipping away. Only you can help her, please, human." Fear and curiosity fought inside him. He took one cautious step forward, then another. As he moved closer, the coldness grew sharper, stabbing into his bones. The air was heavy with an energy he couldn't understand. His hand reached out instinctively, wanting to touch the cradle, but before his fingers could brush against it, a shock hit him, like static electricity, but much stronger. His hand pulled back in pain. "What is this? Why can't I touch her?" he whispered. The voice answered, almost pleading now. "There is a barrier. It keeps us apart. Only your will, your choice, can break it." The narrator's heart pounded. Why him? Why not anyone else? He wanted to run, to escape this madness. But something about the glowing baby drew him in. It looked fragile, innocent, helpless. And the mother's voice, though strange and alien, was filled with the same desperation any human mother would have. He asked slowly, "Why me? Why are you calling me?" The glow flickered, as if the mother was struggling to remain. The reply came with heavy sorrow. "Because you are human, and only a human heart can awaken her." His breath caught. A human heart? What did that even mean? He stared at the tiny creature, at its still chest, and suddenly felt a strange pull deep inside him, like a thread connecting his heartbeat to hers. The room trembled slightly, a faint humming sound rising in the background like a distant machine starting up. Shadows on the wall stretched unnaturally long. He felt as though the room itself was no longer part of the earth he knew. "Please, do not let her fade," the mother's voice whispered again. The narrator swallowed hard. His fear had not left, but now it mixed with a strange sense of responsibility. He had stumbled into something bigger than himself, something that defied all reason. And yet he could not ignore it. He stepped closer again. His fingers hovered, just above the cradle. This time the barrier did not shock him, but it pulsed like the beat of a heart. His own chest thudded in rhythm. He whispered, "I don't understand, but I'll try." The air grew colder, the light brighter, and the voice of the mother echoed, trembling between hope and despair. "If you fail, she will be lost forever." And in that chilling moment, the narrator knew. He was no longer just an observer of a mystery. He was now a part of it. The cradle hovered in the corner, glowing faintly like a star trapped in mist. The narrator's eyes were fixed on the small figure inside. For a long moment he couldn't breathe. The baby, if it could even be called a baby, looked fragile, beyond imagination. Its body was tiny, almost weightless, covered with a faint silver glow. Its skin was pale, almost transparent, and faint blue veins glimmered beneath like rivers of light. The most haunting part was its stillness. No rise of the chest, no breath, no sign of life. It lay there in perfect silence, as if frozen between life and death. The narrator's throat felt dry. He whispered to himself, "She's not moving. Not even a little." The alien mother's presence flickered in the room, her voice trembling with grief. "Yes, she has not moved for long. My baby has forgotten how to breathe." Those words cut deep. Forgotten how to breathe? Humans thought of life and breath as natural, automatic. But here was a creature whose survival depended on something more, mysterious. The narrator stepped closer, though his legs felt heavy. His heart thudded loudly, echoing in his ears. He leaned over the cradle, trying to study the child. The glow around her shimmered weakly, as though it were fading. Her tiny fingers were curled, her eyes closed. But her face, though alien, carried an innocence familiar to every newborn. She looked almost human, yet not fully. Her skin had a soft, luminous glow, and faint patterns like stars marked her forehead. For a moment, the narrator forgot his fear. A strange tenderness touched his heart. This was a child, helpless and fragile. He could almost feel the sorrow of the mother's voice pressing against him like a weight. Then the mother spoke again. "Do you see her? She is slipping away. Every moment she grows colder. Soon, she will not return." The narrator shivered. He placed his hand close to the cradle again, feeling the invisible barrier pulse faintly. This time, it was softer, like a heartbeat, weak and fragile. He gasped. "I can feel it, like she's connected to me." The mother's voice grew urgent. "Yes, you feel her. The thread between you has awakened, but it is not enough. Her heart does not remember yours." The narrator staggered back slightly, confusion flooding his mind. "What do you mean? What am I supposed to do? I don't understand." The presence in the room flickered violently, as though the mother's grief shook the air itself. "You are human. Only a human heart carries the rhythm of life strong enough to awaken hers. You must give it to her, or she will fade." The words made no sense. How could a heartbeat be given? But even as his mind argued, his body knew. He felt it, the strange pull in his chest, the invisible string tying him to the small, glowing baby. He leaned closer, his breath shaky. The baby's chest remained still. Her glow flickered weakly like a dying flame. For a terrifying moment, he thought he was too late. "No, don't go," he whispered desperately, surprising himself with how much emotion cracked through his voice. His eyes locked on her small face. Suddenly, her eyelids twitched, just slightly. His heart skipped a beat. Did she move? Or was it his imagination? The mother's voice returned, softer this time, filled with hope and despair tangled together. "She hears you. Speak again. Speak your life into her. Remind her of breath." The narrator swallowed hard. He bent lower, whispering, his words trembling. "You are not alone. Breathe. Just breathe." For a moment, nothing changed. Then a faint pulse ran through the cradle, vibrating under his hand. He felt it deep in his chest, syncing with his own heartbeat. But it was weak. So weak. The mother cried out, stronger. "You must give her more. Do not let her fade." Panic rushed through him. His body shook. How could he give more? He was just a man. confused and afraid. Yet when he closed his eyes, he felt something deep, inside an urge, a connection he couldn't explain. His heartbeat thundered louder, echoing like drums. The glow around the baby flickered brighter for a second. Her tiny fingers twitched. "Yes!" The narrator gasped, hope flooding him. But then her glow dimmed again. Her chest remained still. The mother's voice cracked with grief. "She is trying, but she cannot remember. Help her remember. Please." The narrator clenched his fists. He leaned closer, whispering with urgency, his voice breaking. "Come back, don't give up. You are stronger than this. You have to wake up. Please, wake up." The cradle pulsed once more. This time, the vibration was stronger. He felt it race up his arm into his chest, making his own heart stutter. For a moment, everything in the room froze. The shadow stopped moving, the clock stopped ticking, even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a faint flicker, the baby's chest rose, just slightly. The narrator's eyes widened. His breath caught. She moved. But before hope could settle in, her chest fell still again. The glow dimmed, weaker than before. The mother's voice broke into sobs, echoing like thunder through the walls. "She is not safe yet. If you fail her now, she will be gone forever." The narrator's knees shook, but he knew he could not walk away now. He was caught in something far beyond his understanding. Fear, confusion, and determination collided inside him. As he looked down at the fragile, glowing baby, one truth echoed. In his mind, this was not just her fight anymore, it was his as well. The baby's faint movement had given the narrator a spark of hope, but that hope slipped away too quickly. Her chest had risen once, and then fallen back into stillness. The glow around her fragile body dimmed, flickering like a dying candle in the dark. The room grew colder. The air itself felt alive, heavy and restless, जैसे हवा में किसी की चीख छुपी हो. The narrator's heart pounded harder, the sound echoing in his ears. He could not escape the feeling that every beat of his own heart was tied to the baby's fading glow. The mother's presence trembled in the air. Her voice cracked with sorrow and fear. "You gave her a spark, human, but it is not enough. She is still trapped in the silence. If she does not awaken soon, she will be lost forever." The narrator staggered back a step, his breath uneven. He wanted to help, but his hands shook. "What do I do? How do I help her more? Tell me." His voice trembled, desperate for an answer. The mother's reply was strange, haunting, and heavy with meaning. "Your world and mine, they are not the same. Our children are born connected to rhythm, to the sound of life. Without it, they cannot survive. Only the human heartbeat is strong enough, and only your will can guide her back." Her words sank into him like stones dropped into deep water. A human heartbeat strong enough to bring life? It sounded impossible. But hadn't he already felt the thread connecting them? When he had leaned close, his own pulse had stirred something inside the glowing child. The thought gave him courage. He stepped forward again, his body trembling. Slowly, carefully, he placed his palm near the cradle. The invisible barrier pulsed under his skin, but this time, it didn't shock him. Instead, it felt alive, vibrating in rhythm with his chest. The baby's tiny fingers twitched. "Yes," the narrator whispered, his voice shaking. "You can hear me, can't you?" But the glow flickered weakly, fading again. The air in the room grew heavier, as if an unseen force was trying to crush hope itself. The shadows stretched longer, crawling across the walls like black hands reaching for him. And then he heard it. A low humming sound, deep and unnatural, filled the room. It didn't belong to any machine, not from Earth. It was like the sound of a door opening somewhere far away, an invisible gateway pulling at the air. The narrator's stomach twisted. Something else was here. The mother's voice returned, this time frantic. "They are coming. The ones who watch. If they find her weak, they will take her away." The narrator froze. "Who's coming?" he asked, panic rising in his chest. Her answer sent chills down his spine. The keepers. They guard the balance between worlds. They will not allow her to live if she cannot breathe on her own. You must hurry. You must awaken her before they arrive. The humming grew louder. The walls of the room vibrated softly, and faint cracks of light appeared in the air as if reality itself was tearing open. The narrator's fear turned to determination. He leaned over the cradle again, whispering quickly, almost pleading. Breathe. Please, just breathe. I am here with you. Don't give up. His chest thudded harder, faster, and the invisible thread between them tightened. His pulse echoed through the cradle, and the glow around the baby flickered brighter for a moment. Her lips parted slightly as if she was trying. The narrator gasped. Yes, you can do it. Don't stop. But then, the room shuddered violently. The cracks of light widened. From the glowing fractures, faint shapes began to emerge. Tall, thin silhouettes, their bodies glowing faintly like smoke and fire. They had no faces, only hollow eyes of light staring directly at the cradle. The narrator's blood ran cold. The keepers had arrived. The mother's voice trembled with terror. Hurry, human, before they touch her. If they do, she will vanish, forever. His heart thundered like drums of war. He pressed both hands against the cradle now, feeling the barrier pulse violently under his palms. He closed his eyes and focused only on his heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. He whispered with every beat, Wake up, wake up, wake up. The baby's chest twitched again. Her glow flared brighter, struggling against the darkness that surrounded her. The keepers moved closer, their hollow eyes fixed on her small form. The narrator shouted now, desperate, his voice breaking. You are alive. Breathe. Don't let them take you. The cradle pulsed in rhythm with his chest. The thread between them burned like fire in his veins. And then, a faint, shaky breath escaped the baby's lips. The narrator's eyes widened. Tears blurred his vision. She breathed. He gasped. The glow around her body flared brighter, pushing back the shadows. The keepers stopped in their tracks, their hollow eyes flickering, but the mother's voice remained urgent, trembling with fear. It is not enough. She has taken her first breath, but the bond is not complete. If you falter now, they will still take her. The narrator's chest ached from the effort, but he knew he could not stop. His heart, his will, his very life, everything was tied to this fragile child. And as the keepers stood waiting, silent and patient, the battle for the baby's survival had only just begun. The baby's faint breath had given the narrator a flicker of relief, but that relief was fragile. The glow around her still wavered, her tiny chest rising only weakly. The keepers stood frozen in the cracks of light, tall shadows with hollow, glowing eyes watching silently. They didn't move closer, but their presence filled the room with unbearable tension. The narrator's body trembled. He could feel his heartbeat thundering in his chest, each thump echoing into the cradle. The thread of connection pulled tighter, draining his energy, yet he pressed on. He could not stop now. The mother's voice, though faint and trembling, filled the space. She has begun to breathe. But the danger is not over. You must know the truth, human. Only then will you understand what you have done. The narrator's eyes darted toward the glowing figure. What truth? Tell me. Why me? Why her? His voice cracked with desperation. For a moment, the glowing presence dimmed, as though gathering strength. Then, the mother spoke again, each word heavy with sorrow. Our children are not born the way yours are. In our world, life cannot begin without rhythm, without connection. The first breath is not given by us. It must be awakened by another. That is why we searched beyond our stars. The narrator's mouth went dry. You mean, you searched for me? Yes, she whispered. Not just you, but any human strong enough to hold the rhythm of life. But it was you she chose. Your heartbeat reached her before she was even born. His head spun. It didn't make sense. How could a child in another world hear his heartbeat? And why would she choose him? He shook his head in disbelief. This is impossible. I'm nobody. Just an ordinary man. The mother's presence flickered, her voice breaking. Ordinary to yourself, perhaps. But to her, you are the bridge. Without you, she cannot live. Without you, she cannot belong to either world. The narrator felt the weight of her words press against him like chains. His hands trembled on the cradle's surface. What do you mean, belong to either world? She's not human, is she? There was silence for a moment. Then came the answer that froze his blood. She is both, half of my world and half of yours. The narrator's breath caught. Half human? The mother's voice was thick with grief. Yes, her father was not of my kind. He was human, but he is gone. Now, she carries both worlds in her veins and both worlds in her heart. That is why her survival is uncertain. She needs both rhythms to awaken fully, mine and yours. The narrator staggered back, his mind spinning. The glowing child inside the cradle was not just alien, she was part human. That explained her delicate features, her almost human face, and yet the glowing patterns on her skin. But a darker thought hit him. If she was both, then perhaps that was why the keepers had come. He turned his eyes to the silent figures in the cracks of light. They stood motionless, but their hollow eyes glowed brighter, as if reacting to the truth being revealed. Why are they here? He asked, his voice trembling. What do they want? The mother's voice grew heavy. They guard the balance. Children born of two worlds are not permitted. They believe such a child will bring chaos. If she cannot awaken fully, if she cannot prove she belongs, they will erase her existence. Erase her existence. The words cut like a knife. The narrator looked down at the fragile baby, her chest struggling for each breath. He clenched his fists. No, I won't let that happen. The mother's voice quivered with hope. Then you must not falter. You must give her more of yourself. Every beat of your heart strengthens her. Every word you speak reminds her of life. But you must also accept what this means. His voice shook. What does it mean? The silence stretched before the answer came, soft and haunting. If you give her your rhythm, she will be tied to you forever. Her heart will live because yours does. Your pain will be hers. Your life and your death will be shared. The narrator's knees nearly gave out. Tied forever? His life bound to hers? The weight of such a choice pressed down on him like a mountain. The keepers stirred slightly, their hollow eyes flaring. The cracks of light widened, spilling strange energy into the room. The air shimmered, and the walls seemed to bend unnaturally. The mother's voice grew sharp, desperate. Decide, human. Will you give her your life? Will you bind her heart to yours? If you refuse, the keepers will take her now, and she will vanish from both worlds. If you accept, she will live, but you will never be free of her. The narrator's pulse thundered in his ears. Sweat dripped down his face. He looked into the cradle, at the tiny glowing baby with her faintly human face, struggling to breathe. She was helpless, innocent. Her small hand twitched as if reaching for him through the invisible barrier. His chest tightened with emotion. He whispered, almost to himself, "How can I let her die?" The mother's voice broke, soft and trembling. "Then you know the truth. But once you choose, there is no return." The narrator closed his eyes, his hands pressed firmly on the cradle. His heartbeat thundered stronger, louder, filling the silence. He whispered into the glow, his words trembling. "I choose to keep you alive." The cradle pulsed with a blinding flash of light. The keepers hissed, their hollow eyes dimming, their forms retreating slowly into the cracks. The baby's chest rose again, stronger this time, her glow brightening. But the narrator felt it too. His heart skipped, then slammed painfully, as if something inside him had been taken. A bond had been forged. His life was no longer his alone. And as the room settled into silence once more, he realized the hidden truth. This was no longer just about saving a child. It was about saving himself from the weight of a destiny he never asked for. The blinding flash of light slowly faded. The keepers had retreated back into the glowing cracks of space, their hollow eyes dimming as though defeated, for now. The baby's glow was stronger than before, her tiny chest rising with weak but steady breaths. But the narrator knew the truth. He felt it deep inside his body. His own heartbeat had changed. It was no longer just his. Every thump carried a strange echo, as though two rhythms beat within him. His chest ached with the weight of the bond. He stumbled back slightly, pressing, a hand against his heart. "What have I done?" he whispered. The mother's voice filled the room, soft but heavy with meaning. "You have saved her, but now she is tied to you. Every breath she takes, every beat of her heart, it belongs to you as well. You are no longer one. You are two." The narrator swallowed hard. Fear and responsibility twisted together inside him. He looked down at the baby. Her glow had grown steadier, but she was still fragile, her small chest rising unevenly. Her tiny hand twitched again, reaching toward him through the cradle's faint shimmer. He whispered, "She's alive, but she's still so weak." The mother's voice trembled. "Yes, the bond has begun, but it is incomplete. You must give her more of yourself. If you stop now, the keepers will return and she will be lost." The narrator's breath quickened. His body already felt drained, as if his strength was pouring into the cradle. His arms were heavy, his chest tight. He wasn't sure how much more he could give. But then the baby stirred. For the first time, her eyelids fluttered just slightly. A faint glow shone from beneath them. She was trying to open her eyes. The narrator's heart skipped. "She's fighting," he whispered, his voice trembling. "She wants to live." He leaned closer, placing both hands firmly on the cradle. The barrier between them pulsed with energy, stronger now, vibrating in rhythm with his heartbeat. He closed his eyes, focusing only on the sound inside his chest. Thump, thump, thump. The sound grew louder, filling the room like a drum. The cradle glowed brighter with each beat, the baby's chest rising in time with his rhythm. But then, the humming returned. The air around the room vibrated. The cracks of light flickered open again, faint shapes moving behind them. The keepers were not gone. They were waiting, watching. The mother's voice grew sharp, almost panicked. "They are testing you. If you falter, if your rhythm breaks, they will take her. This is the critical moment. Do not stop. Do not let your fear control you." The narrator clenched his jaw, sweat dripping down his face. His arms shook as he pressed harder against the cradle. His heartbeat pounded violently, almost painfully, echoing into the glow. He whispered through gritted teeth, "Breathe. Breathe, little one. Don't give up." The baby's chest rose higher, her glow spreading across the cradle. For the first time, her lips parted, and a tiny gasp escaped her. It was faint, but it was real. The narrator's eyes widened, hope surging through him. "Yes, you can do it." But then pain shot through his chest. His own heartbeat stumbled, missing a rhythm. His knees buckled and he gasped for air. The connection was too strong. He could feel his life being drained into her. The mother's voice trembled with urgency. "Do not stop, human. If you stop, now both of you will fall." The narrator gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stay upright. His body screamed in exhaustion, but he pushed harder, his voice breaking into a desperate cry. "You are alive. Fight. Open your eyes." The baby's glow flared brilliantly. Her small chest rose and fell more evenly. And then, with a sudden burst of light, her eyes snapped open. The narrator staggered back, his breath catching in his throat. Her eyes were unlike anything he had ever seen, large and luminous, glowing with a bright silver-blue light that filled the entire room. They were not just alien, they were otherworldly. The baby blinked slowly, her gaze locking on him. For a moment, silence fell. The keepers in the cracks froze, their hollow eyes flickering uncertainly. The mother's voice trembled with awe. "She sees you. She knows you now. The bond is complete." The narrator's chest burned with pain, but his heart steadied again, sinking with hers. He felt her presence inside him, a soft, faint echo of life that was not his own, yet lived through him. He whispered, barely able to speak, "She's awake." The baby let out a soft cry, not of pain, but of life. A sound so pure it cut through the heavy air of the room. The glow around her body expanded, pushing the shadows back. The keepers stepped back into the cracks, their hollow eyes dimming. Slowly, the fractures in the air sealed shut until the room was whole again. The humming faded, leaving only the sound of the narrator's heavy breathing and the baby's soft whimpers. The mother's presence softened, her voice filled with relief. "You have done it. She lives because of you. But remember, she lives through you. From this moment, your lives are bound together. Her heart is yours, and yours is hers." The narrator sank to his knees, exhausted. His chest still ached, but as he looked at the tiny child glowing softly in the cradle, a strange calm filled him. He had saved her. But deep inside, one question lingered like a shadow. What price would he pay for this bond? The baby's cry echoed softly in the silent room, glowing eyes staring at the narrator as if she recognized him. For the first time, the air no longer felt crushing, and the shadows had retreated. The keepers were gone, sealed away with the cracks of light. The narrator collapsed to his knees, his chest heaving. His heart still burned, beating with a rhythm that no longer felt like his alone. Each thump carried not only his own life, but hers as well. He knew it now. He was bound. The mother's voice returned, softer than before, no longer trembling with fear but heavy with gratitude. "You saved her. You gave her your life. For that, I am forever in your debt." The narrator looked down at the cradle. The baby's small hand reached outward, and for the first time, the invisible barrier melted away. He felt her tiny fingers brush against his skin, warm, glowing, fragile. The touch was impossibly light, yet it carried a weight that sank deep into his soul. He whispered, barely able to believe his own words. "She's alive, because of me." The mother's presence shifted, softer now, fading slightly. "Alive, yes. But do not mistake this for an ending, human. This is only the beginning." Her words sent a chill down his spine. "What do you mean?" he asked, fear rising again. The glow in the room dimmed slightly, shadows creeping back at the edges. The mother's voice grew heavy. "She is not just a child anymore. She carries your rhythm now. Wherever you go, she will follow. Wherever you suffer, she will feel it. And when danger finds her, it will find you as well." The narrator's chest tightened. He thought of the keepers, their hollow, glowing eyes, their silent judgment. "They'll come back, won't they?" he whispered. "Yes," the mother said softly. "They do not accept what has happened here. They will watch from the shadows, waiting for weakness, and they will not stop until she is gone. Or you are." The narrator's heart sank. He had saved her, yes. But at what cost? Already he felt the strange weight in his chest, the echo of her tiny heartbeat against his own. His life was no longer his. The baby stirred again, her glowing eyes locking onto his face. There was no fear in her gaze, no confusion, only calm recognition, as if she had known him all along. A strange shiver ran down his spine. "She knows me," he whispered. "She chose me." The mother's voice trembled. "Yes, she chose you before she was even born, and now she will never let you go." The narrator froze. Never let go? His eyes widened as he felt the baby's grip tighten around his finger, impossibly strong for something so small. He tried to pull back slightly, but her tiny glowing hand refused to release him. The mother's presence flickered one last time, her voice echoing faintly. "Protect her, human, for if you fail, not only she but you as well will vanish into silence." And then, Her presence was gone. The room was quiet once more. No voice, no shimmering figure, only the sound of the baby's soft breathing and the faint hum of her glow. The narrator was alone, or at least he thought he was. He sat in silence, staring at the child. Her eyes never blinked, never looked away from him. They seemed too knowing, too aware for a baby. It was as if she could see into his very soul. A cold realization struck him. He wasn't just tied to her heartbeat, he was tied to her being. Her thoughts, her emotions, her very existence were bound with his. And then it happened. A faint voice, soft, delicate, but clear, echoed inside his mind. It wasn't the mother's voice, it wasn't his own, it was hers. "Don't be afraid, I am here." The narrator's breath caught in his throat. His eyes widened in horror. The baby wasn't just breathing now. She was speaking, inside his mind. He stumbled backward, his chest pounding violently. The bond wasn't just physical, it was something deeper, something unbreakable. She could reach into him, live through him, speak to him without words. He clutched his head, shaking, whispering to himself, "This isn't possible, this isn't real." But the voice came again, softer, almost soothing. "You are mine, and I am yours." The glow in her eyes brightened, filling the room with silver-blue light. Her small hand lifted, pointing toward him, though she could barely move. And for the first time since she had awakened, she smiled. But it wasn't the smile of a normal child. It was knowing, ancient, almost frightening. The narrator felt a chill crawl down his spine. He realized the terrible truth. This wasn't just about saving her life. By choosing to save her, he had invited something far more powerful, far more mysterious into his world, and now there was no escape. The baby's glow pulsed once more, syncing with his chest. Their hearts beat together in perfect rhythm. And as the light dimmed, the narrator whispered in a trembling voice, "I thought I saved you, but maybe you've claimed me instead." The screen fades to black. Words appear on the darkness. Would you have saved her if it meant losing yourself?